All right, so get ready because today we are taking a deep dive into the world of entrepreneurship.
Ooh, exciting.
But not just from any perspective. We're going to be looking at it through the lens of Vinod Khosla.
Okay, yeah.
Now, if you're not familiar,
I've heard the name.
he is a venture capitalist, a legend in Silicon Valley.
Silicon Valley, all right.
And we've got his presentation to kind of guide us on this journey. And let me tell you, he doesn't really sugarcoat anything. He straight up calls entrepreneurship a roller coaster. Full of,
ups and downs.
dizzying highs and some pretty brutal lows. So we're going to explore what it really takes to succeed as an entrepreneur. And maybe even more importantly, what you should be thinking about before you even start.
Before you even get on the ride.
You're
okay.
going to buckle up.
What I find so fascinating about Khosla's approach is that he goes beyond just like the typical business advice. He really dives into the psychology of entrepreneurship, recognizing that it's not just about having like a great idea, but it's about having the grit, the resilience to see it through.
He doesn't hold back, does he?
No, he does not.
Like right from the start, he kind of throws down this gauntlet. And he says entrepreneurship is for those, quote, foolish enough to chase their dreams. I mean, it's a little bit provocative, but
it gets you thinking.
It does get you thinking, right? Like,
what does that even mean?
What does it take to be that kind of foolish?
Yeah, it's about passion for sure, but it's also about having like a really clear vision of what you want to achieve and almost like an unwavering belief in yourself and your ability to make it happen. Because believe me, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have setbacks, and there are going to be moments where you question everything.
Yeah, those dark nights of the soul.
Absolutely.
Khosla actually lays out, a bunch of different goals you might be chasing as an entrepreneur. Fame, fortune, building a family business. Maybe it's just you want to connect with other interesting people. But the one he keeps coming back to, the one he says is like the most important is first. What exactly does he mean by that?
It's more than just passion. It's like that burning, almost obsessive desire that fuels you to overcome every obstacle. Imagine like, you wake up thinking about it, you go to sleep thinking about it, and every step you take is driven by this, relentless need to bring this vision to life.
You're consumed by it.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say you've got that fire in your belly.
You got that fervor.
You're ready to go.
All right.
What's next? Because Khosla actually gives you this like whole pre-startup checklist. And at the top of it,
interesting.
Knowing what you don't know.
Okay.
That sounds a little counterintuitive.
Yeah, it does. It's all about self-awareness though. It's like saying, hey, I have this amazing idea, but I'm also like realistic about the fact that I don't have all the answers.
Right.
And that's a strength, not a weakness. When you acknowledge your knowledge gaps, that forces you to seek out expertise. Right? Get diverse perspectives and build a team that can fill in those blanks. So you're like strategically assembling your own Justice League, right?
Oh, I love that analogy.
Right.
Like recognizing your own kryptonite before you even step into the battle.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And it ties into his next point, which is identify your liabilities and your assets. I think a lot of us are pretty good at recognizing what we're good at. But being honest about our weaknesses.
Oh, that's tough.
That's a whole other challenge, isn't it?
It's crucial though. Let's say, you are incredible at coming up with like innovative ideas, but maybe not so great with the details of execution. Recognizing that weakness allows you to like build a team with people who excel at those details.
Right.
So by acknowledging your liabilities, you're not letting them hold you back. You're actually like actively mitigating them.
So you're building a team that can cover your blind spots.
Exactly.
Amplify your strengths.
Yeah, like Voltron,
I love it.
Forming this super robot.
And this is where Khosla gets real with you.
Oh.
He's like, okay, assess the costs involved. And he's not just talking about, the financial investment.
Right.
He's talking about the personal and emotional toll that entrepreneurship can take.
It's not a hobby.
It's a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle.
It's not for the faint of heart, is it?
No.
He's saying you've got to be willing to sacrifice.
Yeah.
Put in the long hours, face the uncertainty, and be okay with the fact that there are no guarantees.
It's like jumping out of a plane without a parachute.
Ooh, okay.
And hoping you can build it on the way down.
So you're saying he's preparing you for that reality?
Yeah, he's not going to sugarcoat it. He's going to be like, this demands everything you've got.
But at the same time, it's also about being prepared to reap those rewards.
Absolutely.
Because when you pour your heart and soul into something and it starts to take shape,
yeah,
there's nothing like it, is there?
nothing like it.
That feeling.
You can't buy that feeling.
You can't buy it. No. Okay, so you've got the mindset, you've done your self-assessment.
All right.
You're ready to jump in.
Let's go.
What's next on Khosala's roadmap to success? And how do you avoid driving straight into a ditch?
Okay.
Because this is a treacherous road, right?
Absolutely. So he lays out this list of success factors, and the one he puts at the very top, the most important one, is people. And he says, beyond the words.
He keeps hammering on this human element.
Yeah.
What does he mean by beyond the words, though? It's more than just having like a team with the right skills, isn't it?
Think of it like this.
Yeah.
You can have a team full of like brilliant minds,
Right.
but if they can't work together, if they don't share a common vision, if they're not willing to like roll up their sleeves and get their hands dirty together, all that brilliance isn't gonna amount to much.
Yeah, there needs to be that chemistry.
Yeah, it's talking about chemistry, shared values, trust, that intangible spark that makes a group of individuals greater than the sum of their parts.
It's like assembling like a team of superheroes, right? You need like Iron Man's tech savvy, Captain America's leadership, Thor's, well, Thorness to really make a difference. But if they're all just fighting amongst themselves, they'll never defeat the bad guys.
Never get anything done.
Exactly.
And that leads perfectly into another one of Khosala's success factors, which is leverage. He calls it riding a wave.
Okay, I like that.
It sounds a little bit like something you hear at a surfer convention, but it's actually a really brilliant business strategy.
All right, break it down for us. What does he mean by riding a wave?
It's about recognizing existing trends, market shifts, technological advancements, and figuring out how to ride those to your advantage. Think of it like, instead of trying to create a wave yourself, which takes a massive amount of energy and resources, you're looking for a wave that's already building and positioning yourself to catch it.
Oh, so it's less about brute force.
Yeah.
And more about kind of strategic positioning.
Exactly. Khosala actually gives some real-world examples of this. Think about companies like, Airbnb. They didn't invent the concept of sharing, but they recognized the growing trend of the sharing economy.
Yeah.
And built a platform that capitalized on it perfectly.
Right.
Or companies like Uber, who leveraged, the ubiquity of smartphones and GPS technology to revolutionize transportation.
Okay, so having your finger on the pulse of what's happening in the world, spotting those emerging opportunities, figuring out how to ride that wave to success. I like it, but I have to admit, the next success factor on his list kind of threw me for a loop. Paranoia.
Oh.
And persistence.
Paranoia and persistence.
Those usually go together.
No, they don't.
Do they?
But it's a brilliant insight into the entrepreneurial mindset, though. So you need to be cautiously optimistic, right?
Yeah.
So you're passionate, you're driven, but you're also aware of potential threats, constantly scanning the horizon for anything that could derail your plan.
It's like you're on that roller coaster. You're excited for the ride, but you're also gripping the handlebars, bracing for that next twist or drop.
Exactly, you got it.
Okay.
And that brings us to one of the most intriguing concepts in Khosala's presentation, potentially controversial, engineering the gene pool.
Okay, red flag.
Yeah.
This sounds like we are wading into some ethically murky territory here.
I know, right?
Is he talking about designer babies for startups?
No, don't worry. Nothing that sinister. What he's actually talking about is building a team with a diverse mix of skills, experiences, and perspectives. He's emphasizing the importance of having people on your team who challenge your assumptions,
right,
push you to think differently, and bring a wide range of expertise to the table.
So it's not about cloning yourself, surrounding yourself with yes men.
Right.
It's about embracing the power of those different viewpoints.
Okay. He specifically highlights the need for expertise in technology, innovation, management, and importantly, experience with managing key risks.
Now, this is where he throws in a curveball.
Yeah.
That I'm still trying to wrap my head around. He says you need both good guys and bad guys on your team. Is he talking about ethics here? Should we be hiring supervillains now?
No, not exactly. What he means is you need a balance of personality types and approaches, right? You need the optimists, the visionaries, the ones who are always pushing the boundaries. driving the big ideas forward. But you also need the skeptics, the devil's advocates, the ones who are willing to like poke holes in your plans and point out potential pitfalls.
So it's about having those bad guys around. That actually might prevent you from making disastrous decisions.
Absolutely.
So it's about fostering healthy debate.
Healthy debate.
Avoiding groupthink.
Avoiding groupthink, yeah.
I never thought I'd say this, but maybe having a few bad guys on the team isn't such a bad idea after all.
Maybe not.
But then how do you manage all these different personalities? The clashing ideas, the constant push and pull.
Right.
Coleslaw brings up this idea of organized chaos.
Which sounds like a complete oxymoron to me.
Organized chaos. I love it. How can chaos ever be organized?
It's about finding that sweet spot between structure and flexibility. Think of it like, I don't know, like a jazz band.
Yeah.
There's a basic structure, a rhythm section that keeps things grounded. But there's also room for improvisation, for, individual expression, for those like unexpected riffs that make the music truly come alive.
Okay, so you need that framework.
The framework.
The set of guiding principles.
Okay.
But you also need to be adaptable, willing to deviate from the plan when necessary, and embrace the unexpected twists and turns that inevitably come with building a startup.
Right, because startups they're dynamic, they're ever-evolving organisms. You can't predict everything. And you need to be comfortable with like a certain level of uncertainty.
So you got to roll with the punches.
Roll with the punches.
And Khosla actually uses these interesting labels to describe the types of people you need in this environment. He talks about flakes, architects, and implementers.
Flakes. Okay.
Now I'm guessing flakes is not a compliment.
Not necessarily. Flakes are those like visionary, big idea people.
Right.
They might not be the best at execution, but they're the ones who come up with like the groundbreaking concepts, the aha moments that spark innovation.
Okay.
Then you have the architects, who are the ones who can take those ideas and like turn them into a tangible plan, like a blueprint for building something real.
Okay.
And finally, you have the implementers.
Right.
The ones who are all about getting things done, making the vision a reality.
All right, so it's about having that balance, right? Of those big picture thinkers and the people who can actually translate those ideas into action.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together now.
It's all coming together.
You need that passionate, self-aware founder, that diverse team with a mix of skills and personalities, a structure that can handle the inevitable chaos.
But building a company isn't just about the people and the processes, right?
That's not.
It's also about cultivating a certain kind of culture, an environment where people can thrive and do their best work.
And that's actually where we're going to pick up in part 2 of our deep dive.
All right, stay tuned.
We're going to explore the key elements of a winning startup culture, according to Vinod Khosla, and how those elements contribute to success.
It's all about the culture.
So join us next time as we continue our journey through the exhilarating and sometimes terrifying world of entrepreneurship.
It's a wild ride.
Buckle up.
I'm ready.
I'm ready too. Welcome back to our deep dive into the entrepreneurial world. We're continuing our exploration through the insightful perspective of Vinod Khosla.
Last time we were talking about organized chaos.
Yeah, that kind of delicate dance.
That sweet spot, yeah.
Between structure and flexibility.
Which is so important in a startup environment.
It's so crucial.
It's like navigating a raging river.
Okay.
You need a sturdy raft, right? You got to have a destination in mind, but you also have to be prepared to adjust course as you encounter, rapids and unexpected currents.
Absolutely. Got to roll with the punches.
Got to roll with the punches.
So now we're going to delve into how you actually build that raft. How do you create a company culture that can withstand those inevitable storms of entrepreneurship? Right. Because Khosla lays out some pretty specific characteristics that he believes are essential for success.
He's a big believer in tackling problems head on. Problems are inevitable in a startup. They pop up like mushrooms after a rainstorm.
Oh, yeah.
But instead of avoiding them or hoping they'll magically disappear, he encourages a culture where people confront them directly, analyze them, find solutions.
So it's about having that proactive problem-solving mindset.
Exactly.
Not just putting out fires, but preventing them in the first place.
Absolutely. That ties into another key trait he emphasizes, which is persistence.
Okay.
Right? Entrepreneurship, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
It's a long game.
There will be setbacks, disappointments, moments where you want to just throw in the towel.
Oh yeah, those dark nights of the soul.
But a winning culture is one where people are resilient, They get back up after a fall, they learn from their mistakes, and they just keep pushing forward.
It's like that famous quote, right? Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall.
Exactly. Love that.
Now, Khosla throws in a couple of characteristics here that might seem unconventional.
Oh, here we go.
He talks about paranoia
Okay.
and irreverence.
Paranoia and irreverence.
Now, those aren't usually words I associate with a healthy company culture.
Right. Sounds like a team of,
A team of hyper-vigilant rebels, almost.
yeah.
But I think there's a deeper meaning here.
I think there is.
Yeah.
What he's talking about is fostering a culture that's constantly questioning, constantly pushing the boundaries, and never getting too comfortable. So paranoia in this context is about being aware of potential threats, always scanning the horizon for like what's coming next.
So you're not caught off guard.
You don't want to be caught off.
You got to stay ahead of the curve.
Stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like having a healthy dose of skepticism, willingness to, challenge those assumptions, not just accepting things at face value.
Right, and the irreverence piece is about challenging the status quo,
Yeah.
not being afraid to take risks or question established norms. It's that, spirit of innovation that drives progress. Think about like companies like Apple or Tesla. I mean, they didn't get where they are by playing it safe.
They disrupted entire industries, right?
Exactly.
By being bold, challenging conventions.
Yeah, like what if we did it this way?
But that kind of culture doesn't just happen by accident, does it?
It doesn't.
How do you cultivate that?
So Khosla really believes that leaders play a crucial role in shaping that company culture. They need to set the tone, lead by example, and create an environment where these traits are not just encouraged, but actually celebrated.
So if you're leading a team, you're not just a manager, you're a culture architect.
Culture architect, I like that.
That's a lot of responsibility.
It is, but it's also incredibly rewarding because when you create a culture where people feel, empowered and supported and inspired to do their best work,
Yeah.
that's when the magic happens.
That's when the magic happens.
That's when you start to see those innovative ideas, those bold moves, that relentless drive. That sets successful companies apart.
Okay, so we've talked about those internal factors, right?
Yeah.
The team, the structure, the culture. But Khosla doesn't stop there. He also talks about external factors. That can make or break a startup.
Right. You can't just focus on what's happening inside your company. You have to navigate this constantly changing world.
It's like a jungle out there.
Yeah, it is.
It's a jungle out there.
It's a jungle. So Khosla, he's acknowledging that entrepreneurs don't operate in a vacuum.
Right.
There are market forces, competition, technological advancements, and even global events that can really impact your business. So he emphasizes the importance of being aware of these external factors
Yeah.
and adapting your strategies accordingly.
So it's about having your finger on the pulse
Yeah,
of what's happening in the world,
absolutely.
anticipating trends, adjusting course when necessary.
Exactly. And he specifically talks about the difference between real versus perceived value
Okay.
and how crucial credibility is, especially in those early stages of a startup.
That makes sense, right?
Right.
You can have the most brilliant idea in the world, but if you can't articulate its value, if you can't build trust
Yeah.
with customers, investors, partners,
Nobody's going to listen.
you're not going to get very far.
You're not.
And he also talks about understanding your competition.
Right.
It's not about being afraid of them.
Yeah.
Or trying to copy them.
It's about analyzing their strengths and weaknesses, figuring out what they're doing well and where they might be vulnerable.
Okay, so it's like a game of chess. You
Yeah.
need to know your opponent's moves, anticipate their strategies, and then position yourself to outmaneuver them.
Exactly.
Okay, I can see that. But let's be real.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just about being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Right.
There's definitely an element of chance and luck in the entrepreneurial journey.
There is.
But Khosla emphasizes that, being prepared, having a solid plan, and maintaining that momentum can really help you capitalize on those lucky breaks when they come along.
So it's like that saying, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
Exactly.
And speaking of opportunity, Khosla introduces this concept that he calls riding a wave,
Yeah.
which ties back to that idea of leverage we were talking about earlier.
Oh, yeah. So it's
Right.
like catching that perfect swell and riding it to success.
Okay, he gives some concrete examples from his own experience, like leveraging, the popularity of Unix back in the early days of tech, or using universities as a marketing channel.
So it's all about identifying those existing trends and figuring out how to ride them to your advantage. Being opportunistic, resourceful, always looking for ways to amplify your impact.
It's like finding a shortcut through the jungle. You don't have to hack your way through every obstacle. Sometimes there's a well-worn path if you know where to look.
And that brings us to a really fascinating shift in Kozla's presentation. He kind of moves beyond the nuts and bolts of building a company and zooms out to look at the bigger picture, the societal impact of entrepreneurship.
This is where he starts talking about entrepreneurs as more than just business people. They're like agents of change, drivers of progress.
Absolutely.
Right.
He makes some pretty bold claims here. He says entrepreneurs drive 40% of US GDP growth through technological advancements.
Wow.
I mean, that's a massive contribution.
It's a reminder that entrepreneurship isn't just about making money. It's about creating value, solving problems, pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And he also talks about the importance of entrepreneurs as role models, especially for young people.
I can see that. They're the embodiment of taking risks, pursuing your passions,
Absolutely.
not being afraid to fail.
They demonstrate that anything is possible with, hard work, determination, and a little bit of that foolishness we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, that willingness to defy the odds.
Exactly.
Right. Go after what you believe in, even when other people might think you're crazy.
Absolutely.
They're the ones who inspire us to dream bigger, think outside the box, and believe that we can make a difference in the world.
Now, after all this talk about the highs and lows of the entrepreneurial roller coaster, the societal impact, the personal rewards, I think it's time to address the elephant in the room.
Okay, what's that?
Is it all worth it?
The million-dollar question.
Right. After all the sacrifices, the risks, the sleepless nights, is there a payoff that makes it all worthwhile?
So what does Vinod Khosla have to say about that ultimate reward?
Well, I guess we'll have to dive into that in part 3 of our dig dive.
All right, so join us next time as we explore the true meaning of success, the legacy entrepreneurs leave behind, and whether the entrepreneurial roller coaster is a ride you should consider taking. All right, welcome back to our deep dive. We are exploring entrepreneurship, and we're using Vinod Khosla's presentation as our guide.
Yeah, he's given us so much to think about.
He really has. Yeah. We've talked about building the right team, navigating that external landscape, but now we're at the heart of the matter. What does it really mean to succeed as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
It is. I mean, is it all about those billion-dollar valuations we see, the IPOs splashed across headlines?
Right, the big exits.
Is that it? Or is there something more?
Khosla actually challenges us to define success on our own terms.
Okay.
He pushes back against this one-size-fits-all definition that, that often dominates the conversation.
So it's not just about following some prescribed path. It's about figuring out what success looks like to you.
Exactly. He wants us to think beyond just the financial metrics and consider the broader impact we want to have on the world.
I like that. What kind of legacy do you want to leave behind?
Right. It's not just about building a company. It's about building something that matters.
He sees entrepreneurs as like catalysts for change.
Yeah.
People who can actually shape the future.
It's true.
They're the ones who make a difference.
Their work can have a real ripple effect, influencing industries, creating jobs, inspiring others to take action.
He even goes so far as to say that entrepreneurs drive progress in all these different fields. Technology, healthcare, education.
And so many more.
I mean, think about it. Pretty much every innovation that's transformed our lives started with an entrepreneur.
Yeah, someone who had a vision, a drive, and a willingness to take risks.
They're the ones who push the boundaries of what's possible.
Absolutely.
So it's about more than just personal gain. It's about contributing to something larger than yourself.
Exactly. Leaving the world a better place than you found it.
That can look so many different ways.
It can.
Creating a product that solves a problem, building a company that provides meaningful employment, or just simply inspiring other people to chase their dreams.
It's about making a difference.
I think that's what makes Khosla's perspective so compelling.
Yeah.
He acknowledges the challenges, the sacrifices, but he also reminds us of that immense power and potential that comes with being an entrepreneur.
He's not trying to sugarcoat it.
No.
He's just presenting a really realistic view of what it takes to succeed and the impact you can have if you choose to embark on this journey.
So After this incredible journey through Vinod Khosla's mind, after unpacking all those insights and advice, I think we're ready to answer that big question. Is the entrepreneurial roller coaster a ride you should take?
What do you think?
Well, I think ultimately, only you can answer that question.
That's true.
But Khosla has given us the tools to evaluate whether this path is right for us.
Yeah, he's laid out the challenges, the risks, the sacrifices.
But he's also shown us those rewards, that satisfaction of building something new,
Your freedom.
the freedom to chart your own course, and the potential to make a real difference.
He's reminded us that entrepreneurship, it's not just a career,
It's a way of life,
a mindset.
a commitment.
It's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, never giving up on your dreams.
Even when that roller coaster takes you on those unexpected twists and turns. So, as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave you with a challenge. Think about what unique wave you're ready to ride. What problem are you passionate about solving? What change do you want to see in the world?
If you're feeling that fire in your belly, that drive to create something new,
Yeah.
to make your mark,
Then maybe, just maybe, the entrepreneurial roller coaster is the ride for you.
thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a